just to tell you a little bit more about me, yes, I have 14 kids. We have 7 grandbabies with another one due in the next couple of weeks. 2 days before the wedding of that I was telling you about earlier. So our life is really, really busy. And when I talk about the business, I just share if it's something that I can do, anybody can do it, because you don't have to have a lot of time. Obviously, when you're as busy as I am, you have to find a way to fit it in. And I won't say that there aren't days that I'm a little frustrated, but that's okay. You just can work it in around your schedule. And you don't have to know a lot of people, because when I first got started with Zija, I was kind of a hermit in my own little homeschool world. And if they weren't small and needing their diapers changed, I was not interacting with them very much. So there were a lot, my business grew using the system and the method of duplication, where you share with a couple of people and they share with a couple of people. In fact, aside from my cousin Nikki, who I've known since birth, and Dougie, whose parents sponsored me, I'm sorry, Douglas, whose parents sponsored me, there's really not anybody in this room that I knew before network marketing. We didn't know one another even when we were involved with other companies. So there's nobody in this room that I knew. And yet my business has expanded to be in, I think my personal organization is in 7 or 8 different countries now. And it's just simply because I shared with a couple of people, who shared with a couple of people, who shared with a couple of people. And just like Tiffany was sharing, her friend that's coming, she's from England, she's got contacts in Australia. I'll never meet those people, but I'll be able to help them grow a business. So it's a really cool business, and I don't know anywhere else in any other industry, any other profession, where you can come in with no education, no credentials, and be able to build a 6-figure business in any amount of time, much less in 3 or 4 years. And I tell people, yes, you can do it in 6 months, and you hear those stories a lot, but reasonably, if you commit to work hard consistently for 3 to 5 years, you can walk away with a 6-figure residual income. That means you don't have to lay back and you still get a paycheck. So that's just a little about the business. Now I want to talk to you a little bit more about what brought me to Zija. Actually, the product that brought me to Zija we don't even have anymore. It was our original Smart Mix. And when I got started with the company, if you wanted a bigger package, you just bought more Smart Mix. There were not options. There were not pages and pages of things to choose from back then. Now we have 2 different nutritionals. And the moringa in and of itself is something that we could talk about all night long. And I know that Tiffany doesn't have a whole lot of background knowledge about moringa, so I'm going to give her some, and it may be stuff you've heard before, and that's okay. What attracted me to the company, I had been looking for a business opportunity, had been researching different companies for about 6 months. And because I had been in another company before and had a little bit of success, I had been approached by a lot of people. And it was this juice or that juice. Everything was the same old, right? Nobody had anything special, nothing different, nothing that impressed me. Nobody had a lot of science to back up what they were doing. And I was on the phone with Amy Stroop. Well, actually, I was on the phone with Doug. And I was saying, Doug, I don't know what you guys are doing, because they were in the same industry I was in. But I've been praying for answers, and I've been looking. And he hemmed and hawed, and Amy's in the background yelling, tell her about Zija. And so he finally just handed the phone to Amy, and she said, Dee Dee, have you ever heard of moringa? And I literally got cold chills head to toe, because it had been maybe 4 months prior that I was introduced to the moringa tree. So I already had a background knowledge of what it is. The moringa is literally something that can feed your body everything it needs nutritionally in one source, one botanical source. So it has all your vitamins and minerals, it has all your amino acids, it has all your omega fats, it has everything that you need. But the thing that attracted me most when I was doing a little bit deeper research is the moringa tree has 36 different anti-inflammatories in it. And they're all perfectly balanced because it's a single source. They all come straight from God. And we didn't mess with it. A lot of other companies out there have a product that has moringa in it, but you don't know where it came from. Most of the time it's just the leaf. So it doesn't have all the amino acids. It doesn't have all the omega fats. ours is still enzymatically alive, and that was huge to me because without the enzymes, you're not going to absorb it. You're not going to be able to digest it. So that was really a thing that attracted me. I was taking literally a Lazy Susan full of supplements. And when I say Lazy Susan full, I got a cereal bowl out because I couldn't hold them in my hand. That's what I measured out every day because I have chronic systemic inflammation. And in order to manage it and to be able to function and take care of the 6 kids that I had then, that was what I was doing. But then when I was introduced to Zija, I said, well, let me see what this can do. I'm really going to put it to the test. And instead of that cereal bowl full of supplements, I was taking 1 pack of this a day. And it exceeded the benefits of what I was taking before. It's just phenomenal. And I built my business on this. Right after I started with Zija, we launched our weight management system. And again, it's changed a little bit, but they came out with a capsule for us to use as a weight management system. And prior to Zija, I was certified as a weight management coach. And I said, I'll market the nutrition, but I'm not marketing diet pills. I'm not. And they said, they're not diet pills. I'm like, whatever. I'm not marketing diet pills. And so I was encouraged, and it was really because of the credentials of the leadership of the company that I even bothered to look. But I was encouraged to do some research on the ingredients. And I was blown away again. They are more like get your body in balance. Right? They're all about getting body systems in balance. People can take this that don't need to lose weight. There are a lot of triathletes that maybe have 3% body fat that use this because of what it does for the body. I have a lady I guess she's probably about 93 now, uses these capsules every day. It's not about weight loss, right? It's more about getting systems of the body in balance. And the XMPM, take it a PM, the XMPM is something that helps to balance out the adrenals and the endocrine system. It lets your adrenals rest. If you have cortisol issues, that would mean, here to here weight. It will help with that. And it will also help you sleep better. So a lot of people use this that don't need to lose weight. They're more about getting your systems in balance. But what happens is, if you get the right nutrition and you're getting your systems in balance and you're detoxing your body, then the weight's going to melt off most of the time. And if it doesn't, we're going to talk about why. And that's where skinny dipping comes in, because that's really what led me to develop the formula for our detox bath. That we say all the time when we talk about the weight management system that the T is the key. And it's definitely a moving experience. So we have to give lots of, am I right? Am I right? It is a moving experience.
Yeah. You start out with a clean slate.
There you go. I like that. You start out with a clean slate. And a clean slate is a great way to get started because you want to be clean in order to absorb your nutrition. And that's part of the reason we encourage people to use the detox tea, even if you're not interested in the weight management system, at least for a little while. And if you're eating toxic foods, really you should continue to use it to some degree ongoing. But we could sit here and tell stories, the people in the room, of lots and lots of tea experiences. We could sit here and laugh all night about tea experiences. But the important thing about the tea, when you give people directions, the first time they try the tea, it should always be steep it for 5 minutes. Set a timer. Don't forget it. If you happen to, don't drink it. It's just that simple. Now you can divide it in half, right? If you somehow or another forget it, just don't drink the whole cup. It gets stronger the longer that it steeps. But what it's doing, there's a lot of companies that market a weight management system and they have a colon cleanse or a detox system, which is really a colon cleanse. It's not what this is. We're detoxing the liver, the kidneys, the pancreas, the gallbladder. We're detoxing your detox organs, but we have to flush the toxins. So it has a little bit of a digestive part to it too. That's why we warn everybody 5 minutes is long enough the first time. If you don't get the results you're expecting the next morning, then steep it longer the next time. That's just a little bit about our weight management system and our nutrition. Now I want to talk more about the oils because I know that has really become an interest to a lot of people. And I love what Josh Plant says. He says, we are in an oil renaissance. And I think you've all experienced that to some degree. You've been with Zija for a while and your business is kind of stagnated. People are interested in oils. They're not necessarily interested in something that looks like pond scum, right? What is that stuff you're drinking? And to convince, yeah, swamp water, pond scum, whatever you want to call it, not everybody's interested in that because we're not to the acceptance stage. We're moving in that direction. We're still in the recognition stage. I've seen that stuff before, right? How many people don't know about essential oils? Not many, right? Everybody's heard of something about an essential oil. So now, instead of being in the recognition stage, we're in the acceptance stage, which is really when you have the renaissance. And what we did with essential oils, I just blown away again, right? And then when I thought I had been blown away as much as I could possibly be blown away, we came out with AGX. So I'm really going to talk a lot about that because I know there were only a couple people in the room that heard it from Dr. Plant's mouth. So I'm going to talk about AGX a little bit, but essential oils, I don't know if you've ever seen those little memes that say, I have an oil for that, right? People have t-shirts, they have little signs, you see them on Facebook all the time, I have an oil for that. I have been telling people for 15 years that God gave us answers in nature. All we have to do is find it. So if you have a problem that you need to work on, God has an answer, and it's in a botanical somewhere. And what we've done with essential oils is we've extracted the essence of the plant and magnified the benefit. For example, peppermint. 1 drop is the equivalent of 28 cups of peppermint tea. We drink peppermint tea for, you know, whatever. We might drink it for an upset stomach. We might drink it just for a little bit of an uplift. There's so many things that people will go to a mint tea for. 28 cups. So it has an impact, right? Because now we have upped the concentration level to a point that it really can affect you. What I'm going to do is I'm going to pass this around, and anybody on this side of the room that wants to try it can. Newborn babies and peppermint don't go really well together. It's just so strong. So you can smell it, and you know it's not going to bother her, but I want you to experience it. If you've never experienced it before, we're going to pass it around. What I want you to do, Tiffany, if you want to move, you can, or you can do this at home. Oil etiquette, especially if it's somebody else's oil, you do what you want to if yours at home, but oil etiquette, don't stick your finger on the top and rub it around. Turn it to the side, not straight up and down, because it'll come out 4 or 5 drops at a time. Turn it to the side and be patient, and you'll have a drop come out. And then I want you to rub it on the back of your neck like that. Okay? So you're gonna pass it around. Y'all have experienced this before. Would you like to try it?
I have.
We have.
Okay, you've done that too.
I have too.
Okay. Anybody that hasn't is welcome to give it a shot. And I think really where you are is okay, Tiffany. I really think it's okay. So here's the deal with peppermint and babies. It's really strong, and when you smell it, you'll understand what I mean by really strong. With anything, you can abuse good things, right? I tell people you can kill yourself with water. You can literally drink too much water and die.
Drown.
Right. Well, no. Well, you can drown too, but you can overstress your body with too much water, and you can kill yourself with water.
We use that. I use it with, especially my grandsons love it.
Yeah.
They're 7 and 8, or 6 and 7. We use it for
Running in the
antihistamine.
nose.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you a great way to use it for antihistamine. I don't know that I would use it for a 6 and 7-year-old, but it's also a great way to wake yourself up. You don't need caffeine when you're driving anymore, and it's late at night and you're sleeping. Keep your peppermint oil with you, and learn how to just get 1 drop. But if you hold it like this and get 1 drop in your mouth, I was telling Nikki, I can never get just 1 drop. I get 2, sometimes 3. And it opens up every airway that exits your mouth. You'll feel your ears go clean. You'll feel it. You feel it go straight to your head. It's just like, it's like an internal wake up. So the peppermint, and it actually does help with mental clarity. It helps with concentration. It's great for headaches. With our peppermint, it's so incredibly strong. 1 drop, rub it between your fingers. In your hairline, if you put it on your temples, the fumes will burn your eyes. It's that strong. So in your hairline here, and then go to the base of your neck, right at the bottom of your hairline, and just pull it down the back of your neck. And it will even, if you catch it fast enough, I'm not going to say if you've been running a migraine for a day that it will eliminate a migraine, but I have bypassed many a migraine by getting the peppermint out quick enough. It's just amazing. Now what I want you to do, how many of you actually put some on? Did you put some on? Okay, so I'm going to pass this one around. This is the one that for people who are economically driven and they want to choose what cost less. Ours, if you compare it to some of the best oils on the market, is probably about 5 to 10 times stronger, depending on which oil you're looking at. But if you will do this comparison on the other side of the neck, Tiffany, same 1 drop on the other side. Are you feeling it?
Yeah.
It's waking you up, isn't it? So typically we would show a little video about the cell permeability, because that's what's happening. Your cells are absorbing that. And if you go to ameo.com, there's a little sign there that says Ameo difference. Every bottle that we have has a batch number on the bottom, and you can pull up that batch number off of your Ameo bottle. Are we smelling the other oil?
Oh.
And I've used that before.
You have? It's amazing.
It really doesn't smell good.
The more you're around good quality oils, the more you're going to have a discerning nose. So, did y'all smell a different? Did you? I want you to smell it.
Since you said smell,
That's someone else's brand.
Yes.
do you? Is there anything that can help a person that can't smell?
Yes, ma'am.
Everything will help a person that
No,
can't
that's
smell.
not your name.
They won't
That's
smell
not their
it.
straw.
This is a great story, so I have to share it. I have a friend that
Explodes.
I guess it's been about 10 years ago. She was in a
Yeah,
wreck,
that's not
and
their
it was
straw.
a bad wreck. She rolled, she had her plane, she rolled her vehicle, she crushed her pelvis. She had lots of other damage. She split her
Doesn't
spleen.
explode
She barely made it out alive. And the thing that bothered her the most was she broke her sinuses. Now, who knew that you could break your sinuses? You're a nurse. Did you know you could break your sinuses?
Yeah, I've seen an operating room.
I guess you do. Well, some sinuses never recover. She can't smell anything.
Yeah,
If she can't smell anything, she can therefore taste nothing.
right.
And she was like the best cook in the whole wide world. And now she can't smell or taste anything. And she said, so what about essential oils? How are they going to work for me? Let's see, let's give it a shot. She gets the same effect from pure tranquility that you or I would. She gets the same effect from determination that you or I would. Because what's happening when we inhale, when we breathe in, there is no blood-brain barrier. Whether you smell it or not, those molecules are going straight to your brain. And they've actually, another company has done this. They've done some brain mapping where when you inhale, they can show how it sets off different parts of your brain and triggers things in your brain. So that is why, and the same thing with music and hearing, right? We have music that we hear it and it just takes us back 20 years. That's why you can smell a smell. In fact, there's one over here that I've had people say, that reminds me of my grandma's house. right? And it takes you back, and you just have vivid memories. Yeah, some people don't want those memories, right? We got oil sitting over here somewhere without a top.
It does. There's nothing that will cure the
lack of smell.
Yeah.
Not if your
Or
sinuses
taste.
are broken. Not if your sinuses are broken. Why? What happened to cause that?
I had something happened to my eye, and I've had dozens of surgeries, and all the medications that I've used have destroyed sense and taste, or smell and taste.
That's a good question. How long have you been using moringa?
I only use like the peppermint.
Oh, so you've not used any of the moringa? No, you've not used Super Mix or Smart Mix?
Oh yeah. Okay, it takes some.
Sometimes.
How long? How long have you been using it? Consistently every day.
No,
No, she doesn't use it consistently.
because he will make it for me every day.
Oh my goodness.
He only does it periodic. No.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you like I tell my husband. Put on your big girl panties and make it yourself. It's good for you, right?
I lost weight though.
Huh?
No, that's why I lost weight.
You lost weight?
No, because big girl panties.
Because okay. They'll fall off. No, it's worth making it for yourself. If you will do it consistently every day, I think your body will start to restore some of the things that medication has taken away. Can I promise you that? No.
Yeah.
But of all the stuff that we have that I think would help you most, that would be it. And I would use Super Mix.
I would love to be able to sell it.
So that should motivate you when you wake up in the morning.
Mhm.
I don't smell the coffee. I'm going to fix Super Mix. Right?
I take the Super Mix and the XM every day. So for 2 years I've been doing that.
And you've had some pretty incredible results, haven't you?
Whatever it says.
Yeah.
So tell me a little bit, share with everybody in the room what your results have been, because the results are what make the biggest difference.
Joint pain.
Joint pain?
No joint pain.
So-
No arthritis.
And
no
for the
nothing.
people who can't see you in the camera, tell us how old you are.
Oh, I'll be 68 in July.
And 2 years and no joint pain.
No.
And it seems like I remember you telling a story about climbing up on a house or something.
Yes, we shingled a house in July, and I was
In July in Georgia.
right, and it was 100 degrees, and we were the kids were falling out, and
Are y'all hearing the story, Sandy?
we kept going.
It's amazing. And there's so many stories. Different people have had different results. I can tell you this, and I love my oils. I love the oils. If I had to choose, it would be moringa because I couldn't function without it. And what I tell people is moringa is the foundation for good nutrition, right? You have to do other things too. You can't do moringa and eat Big Macs and supersize your fries and expect to see results because you're counteracting the benefit. But to have oils to back up what we have, and I think y'all all know this, 14 kids, and now it's 16 years we've not been to the doctor sick. 16 years. Now when they get out of the house and they do differently than what they were raised, they may end up at the doctor. But in my house, we stay well, and when we get sick, we fix it naturally. And you can, and there really is an oil for everything. And most of the times there's multiple oils for everything. So if peppermint's not your thing, wintergreen will do almost the same thing for you. Wintergreen is in our muscle mend, and that's another one. If you happen to have some joint pain, if you put peppermint, wintergreen, muscle mend, within 15 minutes, you'll have relief. That's incredible. You don't even get that from drugs, right? It takes a little bit longer, even if it's a drug, to take effect. So I'm gonna ask if there's any questions about any specific oils. And I'm not a doctor. We don't treat, we don't diagnose, we don't cure, we don't mitigate. But there are answers in nature. And so if we can ask questions about symptoms, like joint pain, I can answer those. So if anybody has any specific questions about what can I do for this symptom, then I can answer it. But if you ask me what can you do for diabetes, I'd say, gee, I don't know. Go see your doctor.
Eat less sugar.
Eat less sugar.
Eat less
That's
sugar.
a great one. Yes, change your diet and exercise. You'll do much better. But honestly, we've gotten to the point, and I suppose it's been a law for a long time, but if I were to tell you that water cures dehydration, I could be prosecuted and sent to jail.
Really?
You can't claim a curing.
Yep. It's really sad. It's really sad, but that's where we are. So we can talk about symptoms, but I can't talk about treating or curing or any of that sort of stuff. Do we have any questions online, Nikki, about any particular oils?
Not yet.
Okay.
So I have a daughter who has UTIs.
Yeah.
Okay. So she has some.
Consistently. She's had them multiple times. So for her, it doesn't. She didn't have so much of the burning, and it's just she has to go often. We end up going to the doctor, but then we've gone in the past, or we've done different antibiotics, and recently I've been trying to find different things that work for her with oils. That's kind of what. That was the main thing that led us to it to begin with.
Oh, very cool. So I will tell you my story because how old's your daughter?
She's 8.
Okay. Maybe I didn't have them quite that young, but I can remember as a teenager, especially having 2 or 3 every year, all the time. Good nutrition in my body made a difference. But what has happened to me over the years, and this is why we don't go to the doctor. This is what motivated me to find answers. Every time I take an antibiotic, or in the past I've taken antibiotics, the reaction has been more violent and more life-threatening. So you get to a point where you go, is it worth trying? Is it? And there's so many medications that the side effects are worse than the problem that you're trying to fix, that it's just not worth it. So if you can find something natural that can fix it without side effects, that's great. For me, before Zija, before oils, I would use a cranberry. See, I can tell you what I do for me, right? I can't tell you what you can do, but I can tell you what I did for me. I use cranberry capsules, and I drank lots and lots and lots of water. Lots. I mean, I would drink 2 gallons a day. That flushes. And there's D-mannose in the cranberry. That's what's in the cranberry that helps. It can't be cranberry cocktail. It has to be cranberry juice or cranberry, especially for an 8-year-old. There's one that's heart-shaped and it's chewable, and I can't remember the name of it, but it actually tastes kind of like a sweetheart, and it worked great for me. So that's an option. We were in North Georgia, and I hadn't had a urinary tract infection in ages. But Clay and I went up there for 3 days, and there was a hot tub up there. And we just, in and out of the hot tub, in and out of the hot tub. And hot tubs are not all that clean, and chemicals are not all that good for your body. And so I developed a urinary tract infection, and it was like that. And I was up there, and I had nothing with me except some of my oils. And so I pulled out my phone. And this is kind of like the essential oil Bible. You got it. So it's awesome. There's all sorts of kind of cool stuff in there. And I have an app on my phone that corresponds with that. So I pulled it up and I just said, urinary tract health, and it came up, and what I had with me was Pro Shield. And I applied the Pro Shield topically across my abdomen, and it got better. I did that a couple times a day. And then another time I used eucalyptus and got in the tub because I was cramping so bad, literally tears. And I keep no medications in my house, not even Tylenol, so I had nothing. And that was something that within 30 minutes, I also realized I had not hydrated, so I got one of those purple bottles. Douglas had one somewhere. It's just a big, I think it's like 26 ounces. And I put a hydrate and a fuel in there. Fuel's got electrolytes in it, so I was getting electrolytes back in my body. So it was 26 ounces of liquid that I drank while I was in the tub. I got out and slept all night, which is crazy, right? It's crazy. You should have been up 3 or 4 times during the night, and I wasn't. And that was all I did. So those are some things that have worked.
A few things I can rub on her tummy, because that's her, other than going frequently, it's, she complains. Always stomach hurting, and it's always right in the middle. It's not your typical
Right, always dilute, always dilute. And I say this for anybody when you're first getting started with oils, 50-50 concentration, especially if you're covering a large area, you're going to cover more, you're going to lose less oil, less is going to evaporate, and it's going to be a slower, absorption, thank you. You're going to absorb it slower, and so it's not going to burn. When I was in North Georgia, I didn't do that with Pro Shield, and I do Pro Shield all the time. I'm going to pass it around because it's one of my favorites. And this is what you do with Pro Shield if you have a sore throat or head, whatever. If you feel like there's something in the air, 2 drops in your hand, and 3 is okay. But this is your dilution method, right? You're rubbing it on your hands and it's actually diluting it. And this is called tinting. And you just inhale really deeply. Then you do this 2 or 3 times. And then you take your hands like this. Then you pull forward. Then you get some on your neck. And it's not only is it killing the germs, but it's repelling germs. So if you're going to be in a situation like Cheryl, it'd be my morning routine, right? I would do that every day.
My necklace.
Yeah, it's like
So yeah.
What did you put it?
Or if you're traveling.
it's a necklace. It's a necklace that's like a pendant, but it opens up like a locket, and you put a little felt pad in there, and you can put whatever oil you want in there.
I sleep with a Pro Shield in my diffuser, just about that far away from me.
Wow, not that one, I hope.
No,
Okay.
no, yeah.
So I'll talk really quickly about the diffusers too, but if anybody would like to try that,
And it helps me sleep all night. I mean,
What's that?
that's really works.
questions? Okay. So I'll pass it around. If you just want to smell it, you can do that if you'd like to experience it. But where I was going with that, Tiffany, was it takes more than 2 drops for your belly. And I was hurting really bad, and it had never bothered my neck. So I huddled a handful in, and I rubbed it all over here, and just immediately beet red and burning like crazy. So the solution to that is not water. If you ever get too much oil on you, the solution is not water. Water drives the oil in faster. If you don't believe me, take a little peppermint, put it in your scalp, and get in the shower. Oh my goodness. You will believe me after that. So you don't want to use water to try to wash off oils if you get too much or if it's burning. Always get fractionated coconut oil, and that will slow the absorption. If that doesn't work, use milk. That sounds crazy. Milk will pull it out. So those are just some little, if that ever happens to you, that would be the answer.
Whatever you do, don't cut your eye after you put peppermint on.
Well, yes, and that was why I was saying go way back here, because the fumes alone will burn your eyes. And I put lemon and tangerine in that, and I wasn't thinking about it. I mean, I didn't get it on my hands, I didn't think. And then I did something and rubbed my eye like that. I'm like, I can't see. Be really, really careful around your eyes, because the oils, you can't get it out of your eyes. You can't pour oil in your eye to get it out, right? So you just have to suffer until it gets better, and it's not a fun experience, so be careful around your eyes.
Here you go.
Okay, so we've got questions online.
Yes.
Debbie would like to know which is the best oil for severe sensory overload for calming of overstimulation.
Oh, that's a good one. Can you read that again? Sensory overload. And I would think that would be, I call them high definition children. And we went to a Autism Awareness Festival, and they had a little shed that they simulated what kids that are high definition or function in all the time. So you go in the shed, and the noise level is almost ear-bursting loud. The screen covers the whole, and it's like sitting right up front of the movies. You know, nobody sits on that front row because it's sensory overload. Well, high definition kids function like that all the time. That's why you'll see little kids covering their ears. When it's not a noise that bothers you, you need to start thinking about what's going on with that child and start addressing some issues. Detoxing would be a good thing to start at that point. But sensory overload, I would go Pure Tranquility, Calming Breeze, maybe a combination of the two. those are calming for anybody, but I know that's a good combination for kids that just get overstimulated. My favorite oil for focus and grounding and calmness is determination. And that's the one I wear more often than anything else. I have a friend, and I don't know, some of you may have seen it posted on Facebook, that I introduced to the oils a couple weeks ago. It's interesting. In the past 3 weeks, I've had 4 people come back to me that were in Zija 3, 4, 5 years ago who've quit. I know they want to get back involved because of the oils, because they see it's a different opportunity. But I took oils down there and shared with her, and I didn't know she had a child that was flunking because he couldn't concentrate and focus. But I explained how determination worked and how it just would help you focus and was very grounding. And it is a calming oil, so that it's one of those you have to try because everybody's different. But she started using determination with her little boy, and she sent me this text. And she's really funny, so I'm going to quote what she said. Literally, period. I'm dying over these oils. That's what she said. And then she said her little boy wouldn't have flunked this year if she had had determination at the beginning of the year. She's been using it on him for, I think, a week and a half. And every day she's put it on, he's scored 8 out of 8 in his point scores that he gets. The day that she forgot, he got 2 points and was sent to the principal's office.
She puts it where?
Yeah, that's what I'm at.
Okay, so
For determination.
yes. So this is how many of you have problems with your tops? Anybody have problems opening the childproof tops? Then those of us that are sloppy have more problems than those of us who are not, because what happens is you've got a cap inside of a cap, and when this oil kind of spills around the edges and it happens to get between the 2 caps, you're done for. You have to get a screwdriver to pop the outer cap off. You're never going to open it. So be really careful. Keep your oil clean. And I tell you this because I know from experience, right? Determination. And this is a strong, strong oil. For children, you might not want a whole drop. You can share it with them. You drop it on their wrist and you put your wrist on theirs. You put your wrist together. Look at how close those veins are. And we felt that peppermint going in. Where's that going? It's straight into the blood, right? So you have them hold their wrist together for about 30 seconds. And then the same process behind here and as close to the ears, just tell them to rub under their earlobes and pull it forward. And again, you've got a lot of veins right there. So you're going to have constant inhalation because it's on your neck. And I'll pass it around. It's not the most pleasant smell. But once you get it on, it adjusts to your body, and it's almost like a cologne. There's a lot of men that wear it as cologne. I like to wear it, and I like the smell of it. Dougie's looking like, that's just gross. It's earthy. It's musky.
Does that have the same tingling sensation that some of the
No.
Okay.
No. And if you get it really close to your nose, it is offensive.
So that one drop, you're saying you can do
Yes.
all of it.
And we'll let this wear off a minute, and then I'll let you smell it on my wrist because it's not nearly as strong once you've had it on for a while. The smell that you're smelling that's so strong is mugwort. And mugwort is the reason that it has a childproof top. So this is a question that comes up a lot. If it has a childproof top, there's a reason for it. It is not ingestible. Under any circumstances, it is not ingestible. So that means, where is it? Wintergreen is not something you want to brush your teeth with. If you're putting it in your mouth, whether you swallow or spit it out, it is still ingesting. You absorb. This was an interesting experiment I saw one time. Water, chlorinated water, and they took, and this was for a water filter, right? But they took the water that had been chlorinated, took it and put it in their mouth, made a whole swallow, swished it around, spit it back in the cup. They took the chlorine tester and put it in one cup, and then they took the chlorine, and they poured it from the same pitcher. The chlorine tester in the cup that had been swished in the mouth, there was no chlorine left in it. Let that process
Went into the body.
Yeah.
So
absorbed all in the mouth just within 15 seconds of swishing it around. Peppermint is not something you want to freshen your breath with. It's not something you want to brush your teeth and swish. Yes, I'm sorry, wintergreen. Thank you. Peppermint is fine to ingest. Wintergreen is not.
So wintergreen's one you were talking about with chlorine.
Well, I'm just saying, there are people that say, well, I'm not ingesting it because I'm just brushing my teeth with it.
Okay.
Oh, yes, you are. You know, you put it in your mouth, that's ingesting.
Also, any lotion that you put on your body.
It's
Because-
different. It's not going into your digestive system.
But
When
your
it-
body.
When it's going through your skin, it is not toxic.
No, I
Wintergreen is,
know. I mean, there's like lotions
right,
and medications that are prescribed
right.
sometimes
Mm-hmm.
that your skin will absorb it.
Yes.
And it will go into different organs,
Yes, absolutely.
like skin medicine.
Yes. Antiperspirant has aluminum in it. Every time you put it on, you're clogging your pores.
What
And
was
it's
the
going
difference?
into your body. And it's found in the brains of everybody that has Parkinson's or Alzheimer's.
But our son's spleen
Uh-huh.
started to, it ruptured his spleen, and he was bleeding internally.
From medications.
Yes, skin
From
medicine.
facial
Yeah.
For acne.
medication.
Prescribed by a doctor.
That does not surprise me. So this is one of my pet peeves. And Kelly flies Delta. Kelly, let me ask you a question. If every single day Delta dropped a plane from the sky that had 250 people in it, how long would Delta be in business?
Not longer than 2 days.
There you go. If it were scattered across the industry, and it wasn't just Delta was only once a week, and American was once a week, and it was just a variety of, and it wouldn't even have to be the same plane. But if you had a plane drop out of the sky every single day and 250 people died, would we put the planes on the ground so we figured out what was wrong? Absolutely. Every single day, 250 people die, not from drugs, but from properly prescribed drugs.
Yeah.
So we're not talking about overdoses. We're not talking about somebody that was messed up and gave somebody the wrong medicine. We're talking about properly prescribed drugs, 250 people a day. And that's 10-year-old data. Do you think it's probably more today? Absolutely. So that's just something to think about. That's where my passion comes from. I mean, I know you can hear it, right? It bothers me that the first thing we do is go ask for a drug when God's given us answers in nature. It just bothers me. And there's an answer for everything in nature. It may not be the quick fix, but neither are drugs. We're not fixing anything. We're masking symptoms. So I know I tend to, it would be really good for me to have a PowerPoint because then I'd stay on track a little bit better. But you get me just like I am, right?
All right, Dee, we're out. We're going to sit down with some future rock stars.
Awesome. Good
We'll
night.
see you guys later.
All right.
Who are the rock stars? I don't want to come.
So
Judy, can you repeat what you said about the things found in the brain of Alzheimer's and dementia patients?
sure. Heavy metals. Heavy metals that are not necessarily heavy metals that you ingest, but they're coming from your lotions and aluminum is in your well, deodorant and antiperspirant are different, right? And it's even hard to find a decent deodorant. I make mine from coconut oil and baking soda and arrowroot powder and essential oils. And the essential oil is just a nice add-in, so it has a little bit of a smell, but it works better than any antiperspirant I have ever used. And we can do things naturally. It doesn't cost me any more money, and it doesn't take me but 5 minutes. So it's not about convenience or cost or anything. It's just about commitment to taking care of me. But even more important than that, I think, are parabens, because parabens are in everything. And in a study that they did, breast cancer tumors, every single tumor had parabens in it. Every tumor. So as I tell you, right, maybe parabens ought to be avoided. So we just get skincare products that don't have parabens in them, and then we don't have that. I mean, it's just simple. Eliminate what you can, right? We live in a world where we can't eliminate everything, But don't just go, well, something's going to kill me anyway, and not try to do anything, right? You hear people say that, I got to die somehow. Well, you just go right ahead, but I'd like to live a little bit longer, and I'm going to do what I can to take care of me so that I enjoy the life I have to live. But I don't want to finish tonight. But he took off with all of them, didn't he? They're all over here. Hang on a second. I was blown away by what we did with moringa, capturing it and keeping it alive. Nobody had ever been able to do that before. I was blown away with the essential oils. This excites me more than I have been excited, even more than moringa, more than anything that I've ever been excited about, period, in health and wellness. And that's a pretty bold statement. 2006, I went to a medical conference, and I'm not a medical professional, and this was a medical professional conference, but I was so intrigued by what they were doing, I wanted to go. There was a little girl who had Down syndrome, and her mom wrote a little book called The Miracle Called Michelle, and she had been using nutrition for just taking care of her health, because kids with Down syndrome have respiratory issues and have other things, and they thought maybe it would help. And over the course of 2 years, people were saying, what's different about Michelle? And all her facial features were starting to change and to normalize. And the eyes started to normalize, and everything started to normalize. If you were to see a picture of Michelle today, you would know she had Down syndrome. It created a lot of interest in the medical community, and they did some research, and they were researching some other things too. But the study of nutrigenomics, it's a big word, it's basically nutrition and gene interaction. How does nutrition affect your DNA and your genetic expression? Well, her genetic expression had changed, and they wanted to know what was going on, so they started doing some other research with some other genetic malformities, other mismatched gene pairs. And what they found was nutrition can restore DNA. It can repair DNA. That was exciting, but it was it was in conception stage. It wasn't even in infancy stage. They didn't know what they were doing. Here's this nutrition, it's doing this. We don't know how it's working, but it's working, and it's way cool. And yes, it is, but you got to have a little bit more data to get anything going with it. What Dr. Plant did was he compiled enough data and started doing some research, and he's taken, I think, 40 different oils that he said they've looked at, and seen how they affect gene expression. Which genes are they changing? That's what excites me. We have the technology to say this nutrition can fix this gene. So we've got all the drug companies out there saying, if you have this genetic problem, right? We have, they're escaping me right now, but the one that tells you you're more prone to have cervical cancer, you're 80% more prone to have cervical cancer, or breast cancer. There are people that are previvors because the medical industry has convinced them that you're pretty much destined to have breast cancer, so let's just do a double mastectomy so you won't.
Mm-hmm.
That's what the medical community is doing with this same technology, right? They can look at these genes and say, that one's messed up and you're going to have breast cancer, so let's just take them off. How insane is that? That just makes my blood boil. It does. But now I've taken this technology over into the nutrition realm, and we've said, what repairs that gene? It's not working. What can we use to fix it? And they've got the technology to take these oils and determine what will correct those genes. And what we launched with is one for women. How many of us would like to balance our hormones without having to take hormone therapy? Sounds pretty cool to me. I'm at that stage where, you know, I'm ready, bring it on. I'm ready for menopause, but I'm not necessarily ready for hot flashes. I can avoid those. I'd be happy with that. That's what we have. It's going to balance everything out. If you're estrogen dominant, it'll fix that, right? It's going to go and address whatever's out of whack. If that gene shouldn't be expressing itself, how about men that have estrogen dominance because of all the fake estrogens that are in our food? lots and lots of fake estrogens in our food. We've got one for men, and it addresses the genes that affect men's health. And then we have one to fix the digestive system. And there's so many problems with our digestive system. We've been eating stuff that's not food pretty much all our lives, unless you grew up on a farm. You've been eating non-food stuff all your life. So whether you know it or not, you've got digestive issues. It's coming, whether you know it or not. It's just like people say, well, I'm lactose intolerant, or I'm not lactose intolerant. Yes, you are. Everybody is. Everybody is. It might not affect you in a way that you recognize, but unless you're drinking raw milk, you can't digest lactose. Unless you're going and buying lactase as an enzyme and consuming it at the same time, because your body doesn't make an enzyme to digest it. We are all lactose intolerant. So this is incredible. I'm really excited about it. And then the cell health, I think, is just as cool. It's not part of the AGX line, but it was the beginning of the technology where they're saying what oils do what, which ones have the highest antioxidant value, which ones are the best immune support, which ones are the best to help magnify whatever else it is you're doing. So we have cell therapy, we have cell support, and we have cell defense, all combined in a gel cap. And I consider myself really healthy for my conditions, right? 14 babies, there's some issues that go along with that. My family has chronic degenerative disc disease, they have back problems, they have thyroid issues, they have all this sorts of stuff. And I've been able to avoid the feeling of that, right? Because I keep the inflammation down. But when I started on these capsules, I'm not one to get in the water and wiggle my toes and see if it's cold, warm or cold. I'm just going to jump in the deep end. So I started all three at once. Day 2, I had to back down on the XM Plus because it was too much. Because it was giving me what I needed, and it was magnifying the results of what I was doing. So I cut it in half. And honestly, right now, the only reason I use XM Plus just a little bit is because of flavor. I like to change the flavor a little bit, but it's just incredible. So I'll open it back up for questions. And if anybody's got anything else? She's here? Yeah. Okay. We'll just start all over. Okay.
Do you have an oil recommendation for Candida overgrowth?
That would be one that if they'll email me, I'll give them some recommendations. I'm not sure that oil would be my first protocol for Candida. And that's something that I struggled with, which is why I had so many urinary tract problems. So just have them email me. Anybody else have any questions? Oil questions, business questions?
When you said you took those capsules and you had to back off the XM Plus. What kind of what was happening with the XM Plus?
Well, the reason I only take half a pack is I take more than half a pack, I'm jittery.
Okay.
Right.
So it was making me
jittery.
Okay.
If I were gonna go for a run, it would be okay, but I just had too much energy, and so
You just got
right, but
revved up.
right, and the best way to explain how it felt, only those people who've used Moringa are gonna relate. But remember when you first started Moringa, you started feeling cells come alive and switches go on, and your body starts just feeling more alive, right? Take it up a notch. That's what happens when you start on the AGX capsules. You just take it up a notch. So I used to say I feel better than I felt in my 20s. Now I can say I feel like my teenagers, honestly. So that's just, I don't know how to explain it any better. It just feels like it's turning on more switches and things are starting to come back a lot more. More questions? We're all good? Oh, well, we'll start all over.
Are all these good while breastfeeding?
Except for the stimulant products. I wouldn't use the stimulant products. And that would just be because I never wanted to give my babies caffeine. right? And I'm really caffeine sensitive anyway, so that's it depends, right? If you're going to be drinking Mountain Dew just to get through the day, then our energy is better than Mountain Dew energy, right? But I don't recommend caffeine while you're breastfeeding. The detox tea warns you not to use it while you're breastfeeding. I always just tell people to go watch the 10 Americans video, and you want to figure out how you can detox more, right?
Yeah.
You have to detox gently. And that's really where the skinny dipping comes in, because it is a detox and it doesn't affect you anyway internally. You're detoxing through your skin. So it's a way that you can detox without the possibility of toxins dumping into your milk. This is, I used it while I was pregnant. It's not recommended, I'm not pregnant, well, I used it while I was pregnant too. It's not recommended to use while you're pregnant or nursing. It has uva ursi in it, which supports the kidneys. It also is a diuretic. So it's a, are you hydrating enough issue. And it has the digestive aspect to it. I just use my baby's bowel movements to determine how strong or how often to steep the tea, was what I did. But I can't recommend it to you because the label says don't use it. Right. I just researched it and said, I'd rather do this than not. Any other questions? But lots of people are using the skinny dipping. And we didn't really talk about that. Cheryl's got some over here. I have some over here. What motivated me to do this? Two things. I have a friend that is has a high definition child. They actually set up that whole awareness event. But she was giving him Epsom salts baths 4 times a week because those kids have serious gut issues and they don't detox. Some of them have particular genetic things going on that they can't detox. The mitochondrial disorders, all sorts of different stuff. And so that mechanism in the tub where you're using Epsom salts, it's detoxing through the skin, it's pulling it out through the skin, you will sweat. You are supposed to. It's pulling the toxins out. But that sort of made me start thinking. People were using the oils and doing oil wraps. I don't know if anybody saw any of that. And then they're all talking about using saran wrap. And I'm literally getting, ticks thinking about using plastic on your skin with essential oils that will melt through styrofoam in like 30 seconds. That just didn't sit well with me. And so I started thinking about what if you could detox your whole body at one time and you didn't have to wrap this part or that part. So I took a combination of oils, and I have the oils up here. Take a combination of oils that detoxify, oils that help with inflammation, oils that they all do something a little different. Metabolic support, lymphatic support, it's all in here. And combined them together and said, let me see what happens, and mixed it up and got in the tub and lost 2 inches and 2 pounds. And I thought, well, that's interesting. And I posted on Facebook. And while I was typing it out, I was just typing out soak yourself slimmer. And then I thought, oh, wouldn't it be cool if you called it skinny dipping? And it just took off like, that catches people's attention. It sounds really cute. So everybody started skinny dipping, to the point that people keep asking me about, well, how do you order it? How do you order it? Well, you need this one and this one and this one. And if you've ever ordered oils from our back office, they don't have them in thumbnails yet. They're, you scroll down the page forever and you have to find them. So I said, would you please just put me together a package? Can we take these oils and put together a package? And so I worked with Dr. Plant to help modify it just a little bit to make it a little bit more effective. And we came up with the oils that we use. Lemon it can be put in the bath, but it's not part of the recipe. Lemon goes in your detox tea as part of the liver detox. So we are detoxifying the liver if you include the tea with that. And there's a drop of peppermint also to help with the liver detox. There's also peppermint in here. Peppermint, you felt it, right? It's going to pull all those oils in. That's one of the things that it helps do. So it helps with that. It's also anti-inflammatory, has lots of other benefits. Trementone is the oil that is a blend that was particularly designed to help you trim and tone. You can do it internally, you can do it externally. I started out by rubbing it on my belly and starting to see that saggy baggy skin starting to tighten up. It's got citrus oils in it. It's got black pepper in it. And those are oils that will help tighten skin. And so it's got that in it. Grapefruit will help with edema. Anybody that's got any swelling. So it's going to pull water out. If you're needing to sweat and you're needing to detox, you need to pull it out. And so that's how the grapefruit helps. It's a great detoxifier. Lavender is not just in there because it smells good and it makes you feel great, but it has a lot of skin benefits. It does a lot for your skin, so it's in there. Tangerine helps with cellulite. That's a nice benefit. It also has some metabolic detox. And you'll notice there's a lot of citrus oils in here. And then orange is also in there. It's called the happy oil. Any of the citrus oils are happy oils, but orange in particular is called a happy oil. And it helps with stress. And stress is part of the reason that we're toxic in the first place. Frankincense is probably one of my favorite oils. It's not my favorite smell, but I've learned to like it as I just rub the wrinkles away every day. Right? It just, there's pictures of the end of my journey, not the beginning of my journey. Nobody will ever, there was no picture ever taken of the beginning of my journey, but this was the end of my journey with my stretch marks. I said it's in here. My husband may have pulled it out. Like, what? What is it? I don't see it. Did y'all see another one blue in here? I have not seen it. There it is. So, and it's not a great resolution, but you can definitely see a difference in those stretch marks. And that's not totally the end of the journey because they'll be totally gone by the time I'm done. But my stretch marks were furrows and they were scar red. I mean, you couldn't rub without feeling the depth of the stretch marks. Now, just think about 14 babies in 26 years, right? These were not new stretch marks. These were stretch marks that had been stretched and stretched and stretched. Frankincense and trementone is what I was applying at that, and then I started dipping. But that was after 2 months of frankincense and trementone, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I had no hope. I didn't think anything would fix me except for a mommy makeover, honestly.
So that was after 2 months at the end, you said?
Yes, I had done topically frankincense and trementone mixed with fractionated coconut oil, just spread across my stretch marks every day.
That's cool.
And then I started skinny dipping.
See?
So I had 2 months of topical, and then that was when I started skinny dipping. So honestly, if you're targeting stretch marks, the after bath oil is important. If you're not targeting stretch marks, the after bath oil is just kind of up to you. Or any kind of skin blemishes. And then the cell therapy. And this is something no other company has. This is, I like to call it super carriers, but it confuses people because they're thinking about a carrier oil. And it's really super escorts inside your body. Once you absorb the oils, this particular oil blend was shown to draw the oil to where it's needed faster. So it's a magnifier, just like I was talking about cell health. It's going to magnify the benefit of whatever you're doing. So when we added cell therapy, I reduced the number of drops of oils and still got better results. So that's the combination of the oils that are in here. And I have all mine wrapped differently, so we can't pass it around to smell it. But it's like heaven on earth.